threads running through the course of events, two forces that determine our lives. And I like to put Sugihara's act and my own survival in the context of the interplay between these two opposing forces. On the one hand, there is pure chance, and on the other hand, there's a certain inevitability to a chain of events and to the actions of one person. So let me explain a little what I mean. Chaos theory is a field of science in which one of the areas of interest is prediction of the future, like the weather, for example, the stock market. And one of the central principles is what chaos theory, which is a mathematical theory, calls the sensitive dependence on initial conditions. That's the butterfly effect. A small event in a distant place or in a distant past can lead to far-reaching and perhaps unexpected consequences in the here and now. The flapping of a butterfly's wings in Asia, amplified by a millionfold over space and time, can cause a hurricane in Oklahoma. Sugihara's act of decency in 1940 enables me to be here today. When Sugihara saved my life, he saved not only my life, my parents' life, and all those refugees, but also my then unborn son's life, and all that he now contributes to the world, and my granddaughter. Now multiply this by 40,000 descendants. By now it's probably more than 40,000, who are Sugihara survivors, or Sugihara descendants of survivors. Consider how many scholars, artists, teachers, scientists, musicians, statesmen, doctors, craftsmen, sake makers, beef growers, how many Consul Sugihara saved. Chance encounters shape the future, and no life hangs on small coincidences. In the story of all survivors of the Holocaust, there are innumerable small coincidences. In my case, we were in Kaunas at that particular time, in that small 2 to 3 week period when Sugihara was signing those visas. If we arrived later, we would have perished. If Sugihara left earlier, we would have perished. And so, of course, I'm grateful for every day of life. But all these coincidences, all those flappings of butterflies' wings, would not be enough to account for Sugihara's act of moral courage. What was the necessary element? Well, you guessed it. It was his character. He was quite simply a decent man. And so I suspect this ultimate moral choice was not an isolated event. He had been preparing for it all his life by the many, many small choices he must have made along the way. And when this major decision point came, he simply acted within his character. And that brings me to the concept of what I call small decencies, what I think we must promote in young people and the generation, and the new generation. Most of us, fortunately, are not faced with choices of the magnitude of Sugihara's, but probably many of us throughout our lives are faced with these many small choice points, which may seem insignificant at the time, but which form part of the fabric and pattern of who we become. Character develops slowly, small choice by small choice, so that should oneself find oneself in a situation where a large choice is required, one is prepared and one acts out of a lifetime habit of doing the right thing. It's the accumulation of many small choices and many small decencies across a lifetime, decencies to people who intersect our lives, whether they're family or strangers, that define us. And that, I think, is an aspect of Sugihara's life that's worth aspiring to and worth teaching our children. To get back to Sugihara and the question of chance versus character. It was chance my family and the 2,000 others were in the place where Sugihara was in August 1940. And it was his character that saved us, a character shaped by all the small decencies of his life, culminating in this great decency that saved 6,000 lives. Now, I just want to show you, I had the privilege of donating my father's passport with a Sugihara visa to the Memorial Museum in Yaotsu. This is a copy of the passport. And this is the ribbon cutting of the Sugihara Memorial Museum in Yaotsu. Mrs. Sugihara is there in the yellow dress, cutting the ribbon, and the mayor, the governor of Gifu actually is next to her, and then the Israeli ambassador, and I'm at the very end in the black dress, also helping to cut the ribbon. And this is Yuko Kawai, who is in the audience here, my late husband, and I at the Sugihara Memorial in Yaotsu. These are such beautiful, it's such a beautiful memorial. It's set in the mountains, and the gold columns that you see here are chimes. So when the wind blows through them, they make this lovely, lovely sound. And this is a picture when I visited Gifu and went to see a ukai. I'm probably pronouncing it incorrectly. Ukai? Is that correct? Ukai. And my husband and I are sitting on the boat eating the fish that was just caught over there on the left, just at that very moment. So I have wonderful memories of this beautiful memorial and this beautiful place, and I hope you get to see it. And